How many of you have been part of endeavors to revise experiences that have already been launched? And how many of you have then wondered, why could we not have just done this in the first place? How many of you have been in a situation while you've been launching an experience or a design? How many of you have thought that I wish I could just get some customer input, but hey, who cares? It's going to take so much time. Let's just quickly launch it. Hi, I'm Pallavi Agarwal, and I'm a user researcher with Amazon India. I work with Amazon Pay as their lead user researcher. And today I'm going to be talking about how we can build customer-centric experiences using what I call smart research mechanisms. These are basically ways of getting customer feedback in ways that are non-traditional, very quick, and highly impact-driven. Now, there is no user experience without the user. And in businesses where user experience is everything that the customer experiences on your application, on your website, is kind of mediated through that experience. We cannot ignore the user. The user has to be in the center of decision making while we are building products and designs. And yet we find across different organizations that in our sort of endeavor to launch very quickly and to launch a lot and to build quickly and to meet our timelines and deadlines, we end up ignoring the customers and the users. And they end up staying out of the boardrooms in which decisions about experiences that we're building for them are being made. Often what ends up happening is that we launch products and experiences. After launching them, we realize that there are things that we need to correct in them. There is feedback that starts coming in from customers. There are page drop-offs that start happening. Customers start calling in, etc., etc. And then we set out on a long journey to revise the same experience, something that we could have done even before it was launched. So the whole cycle of getting customer feedback is actually happening much later than it's supposed to. And obviously, you can do the math, it turns out way more costly. What are the reasons because of which a lot of our stakeholders end up ignoring the users in trying to kind of, launch their products on time? There are 4 reasons that we've sort of realized over time. One is time itself. Okay, we have to launch quickly. We have to ensure that we meet all the deadlines. What is the one thing that we can compromise on? Customer feedback. Also, a lot of stakeholders start believing, and sometimes they're not wrong, that if we were to get user feedback, it's going to entail a long process and a lot of alignment. And so in the fear of the amount of time that it'll take to run a research effort, customer understanding ends up getting compromised. Resources also is a very sort of important reason because of which stakeholders end up ignoring customers, because a lot of the budgets for the launches end up going into building the product. There is a lot of expenditure on doing a very solid, robust research, which possibly that teams don't want to kind of spend, or even in terms of bandwidth, researcher bandwidth is not always available. We know across a lot of organizations that researcher bandwidth is always limited relative to tech and product bandwidth. And so because there is lack of availability of that resource, we end up kind of compromising on customer understanding. A lot of stakeholders don't know how to kind of understand customers, what is the right way in which to do it. And in absence of that, a lot of wrong methods get employed in trying to understand customers. So for example, something that deserves a one-on-one conversation ends up, in the form of a survey. And we end up kind of with wrong and misleading data points telling us something that we actually should not be believing. Sometimes stakeholders think we already know customers. We use our own knowledge. People who are in our office, they become proxies for what customers will kind of say or how they'll respond to our experience. And we often know as researchers that that doesn't always work. And in fact, we do need to go to real customers to get their feedback. Now, in the last few years, Amazon has not just been transforming shopping in India, but also payments. It has entered a huge space in digital payments, allowing its customers to do almost everything you can imagine when it comes to making payments. So now, what Amazon Pay has built is an ability for customers to pay their electricity bills, book their flight tickets, send money to their friends, pay their credit card bills, finance their purchases, store money in a digital wallet, pay offline in a physical store. I mean, there is just very little that is actually left. You can do a lot. And Amazon Pay is therefore becoming more of an everyday habit, entering the everyday lives of its customers. And as we were kind of building all of this, as we stand today, there are 24 non-retail categories on Amazon India and 4 payment instruments coming straight from Amazon Pay. Now, as the research team for Amazon Pay, there were 3 questions that we were faced with at this time when we were in this kind of, speed of building these multiple products. One is, how do we ensure that we keep the customer voice alive in all of this? While at the same time, how do we maintain the speed of these launches? And the third is, how do we do all of this systematically? What would be the mechanism to do that? In order to combat this challenge, we devised what was called smart mechanisms. And I'm going to be talking about one of them today. But what is a smart mechanism? It's a mechanism which is simple. It doesn't take the complexity of a conventional, traditional research to align, run, execute, and deliver. It is much simpler and much faster. It's methodical. Just because it's fast and speedy doesn't mean it lacks method. It's something which has its own method, and it is the method that allows us to arrive at the right kind of insights and data points to make decisions. These mechanisms are agile. They typically take less than 1/4 the time it would take to run a traditional sort of conventional user research. They're rewarding not just for the business, but also for the customer. We're building a better experience for the customer, and we're driving significant business impact. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And they're timely. We're able to deliver the right kind of insights before actually going into a launch. Or even if we've launched a product and we want to fix it, we have a speedy way of doing it so that we're able to fix a problem in time. One of these smart mechanisms that I'm going to talk about is what we call Open Labs. What is Open Labs? It's a monthly mechanism where what we do is we send out a monthly announcement saying that we're going to be running an open lab on this day. We collect topics from our stakeholders, we prioritize among it, and we align on 3 or 4 key topics that we'll be sort of testing with our customers. We recruit customers on a particular day, test out those experiences, deliver a very lightweight sort of report, nothing very complicated and analytical, but say in, what are the top 5-6 things that we need to know and need to fix in a very lightweight sort of way. We make sure to close loop on those findings with our stakeholders, drive business impact. And this is something that we do month on month. So it is a self-perpetuating, very systematic monthly mechanism that we run. Now you will ask that you're actually just kind of testing things with customers, like the way you would do in any usability test. So what is it that's making an open lab different from, a regular research? This is what it is. It is lightweight reporting, lightweight mechanism, lightweight process with very powerful insights. So what we've done is that we've removed the kind of burden of the heaviness of a process from actually being able to interact with customers and get some powerful insights. So getting a powerful insight stops being dependent on the heaviness and the complexity of a process. And that's something that is very engaging for stakeholders and easy for them to kind of, interact with. Now, when we launched Open Labs, we instantly saw significant results, right? And that's what we call the power of small data. There are 3 areas in which we saw this kind of impact. One is customer feedback. We were getting a ton of very interesting customer feedback that we would not have got had we not been running this mechanism. The second thing is business metrics. We actually saw a change in a very positive impact in fact, in terms of business metrics. It was not just a wealth of information, but no actual impact. And we saw very, very, very interestingly, as a very happy surprise, that there was a shift in our organizational culture in how our stakeholders actually engage with research, engage with users. And that was something that, was one of the most important sort of takeaways from this exercise. So talking about customer feedback, with monthly testing, we were able to support about 30 product launches in a year just for Amazon Pay, something we would not have been able to do had we just been reliant on sort of traditional, more conventional researches. And which basically means that there were 30 product launches in a year that came out of a very customer backward, user-centric process. Now, I'll just take a minute to put a caveat here that we are not substituting what deserves to be a very well done, robust research for something that is very quick and dirty. Both of them have a place and both of them must coexist. This is just a way for us to keep up with the speed and scale of the business so that we do not keep building without actually taking any customer feedback, or that in the business's sort of endeavor to grow at a certain scale, we lose our ability to be research partners at that scale, right? So that's something that we must keep in mind. And as I said, there was business impact. So we were seeing business impact of different kinds. We saw reduced drop off, increased conversions, reduced customer complaints, increased revenue. It was really kind of becoming one of the most impact driving research mechanisms that we ran. So I'm going to talk about a couple of examples. So Amazon Pay launched its credit card, and one of the immediate things we realized was that customers are actually dropping off while applying for the credit card. What's going on? So why are customers actually dropping off? We all open labbed it. We didn't have the time to run a full research, but we had the ability to do an open lab. And we immediately saw there were 10 very obvious things that needed to be fixed in that flow. Those things were fixed, and we saw a double-digit percentage increase in the applications for credit cards. A very quick mechanism, just a few days of effort, and very significant long-term impact. Another example, Amazon Pay launched flight bookings for customers. And one of the things that we realized was that customers are not able to discover flight bookings on Amazon because they associated it with shopping. So we wanted to understand what is wrong with that discovery path. What are some of those usability challenges? And yet again, we open labbed it. And immediately we realized that what we needed to do was to improve the search experience for flights. We needed to bump it up in search suggestions. We needed to kind of have a search sparkle. And very soon after we ran this open lab and delivered the insights, we were able to make the right kind of fixes in the search experience. And we saw a significant increase in search volumes. Another example. Now, this is an interesting example because we launched this product called the down payment product. And what that basically entailed was that customers have the ability to pay a down payment on something that they're buying and then finance the rest through installments. And when we launched it, even though the experience won in the A/B test, we needed to know whether the actual experience was working for customers, whether it was usable for customers. And when we actually ran an open lab for it, the interesting thing that we realized was that while we were focusing on just the down payment experience, we were completely missing out on understanding the customer's mental model in relation to financing, the customer's journey in relation to financing. And so this was one of those interesting examples of impact that came not just from the open lab, but the open lab actually became a trigger for us to do a much bigger project on the whole financing sort of experience of customers on Amazon. So what that open lab became was almost like a pilot, after which we did like a 3-month long, very, very robust study on the financing experience on Amazon, which again has driven significant business impact. And as I said, One of the most important sort of success stories that we saw was the organizational shift. What started happening was that we saw designers, product teams, marketing teams, tech teams, all coming together to formulate problem statements, working so that we can solve things quickly, run things quickly, listening into customers. Because we were running this monthly, this provided a very systematic and regular platform for customer interaction for 500 plus stakeholders. So everyone knew that we're having this every month. They have a chance to come in and listen to customers. They have a chance to plug in their problem statements. And when you have something which is systematic like that, it is also easier for people to kind of engage with, to be aware of, to look forward to, etc. And one of the main things that I would say is that this fear of process, okay, if you have to run a research, we're going to have to, get into a long process. That was replaced by curiosity, because people realized that, now there are simpler ways of doing things. Okay. And that was, I think, one of our biggest wins, because once you have, stakeholders kind of running away from research, actually kind of coming in to say that, can we ask customers this? Can we test this? Can we know more from customers about this? It's a win for us as a research team for being able to kind of instill that attitude in our stakeholders. And what we saw was all the reasons of ignorance were actually reversed, because now we were able to kind of deliver things on time. We were able to do it in far less resources. Stakeholders were more educated on how to run a certain customer interaction. And we were able to kind of break a lot of the assumptions with which we build our experiences. And building smart eventually meant that we were delivering better. There are a couple of key takeaways from my experience with this mechanism over time. One is that there is absolutely no reason that we should ignore our customers or end users, because even in times of resource crunch, in terms of bandwidth crunch, there is a need to innovate, and there is space to innovate, to do things differently, to do things faster, and to do things that talk to the need of the hour. Compromising on customer understanding in the name of resource crunch can be very, very costly in the long term. Second is that robustness and agility can coexist. As I said, there is place for doing your hardcore, very robust research work, but it does not mean that something agile, something smarter cannot coexist. Both can coexist and in fact complement each other, and they should, in order for us to kind of become strategic research partners. Scale needs customer centricity. So if you're going to be in a business that's going for scale, that's building very quickly and is kind of, doing things in a way that cannot wait for long research processes, it is important for scale to continue to be customer centric. It's important that we do not lose out on customer centricity in the name of scale. And in order to do that, research partners must keep up. If you're going to continue to be very, very traditional in our approach, while the business keeps scaling up and the business keeps speeding up, we will lose our strategic position in the business. And therefore, these sort of agile, smart mechanisms are very, very important for us to kind of keep up with our business and our stakeholders. Thank you for listening. And this is all I have for today.